in the mafia?
Am I in the what?
Whatever you want to call it. Organized crime.
The stream. Alright, welcome everyone. So today I'm going to try to go over an old X post that I wrote kind of detailing my 1 to 100 Solana journey. Zin, this fellow on X, actually inspired me because he said, huge congrats on the challenge being complete. Will you make a video going over the journey? I said, I think I made a few videos about it, but good video idea. Market conditions have changed so much throughout the challenge, but I actually have them all documented somewhere. LOL. We'll have to find and watch them. Yeah, a video in the current perspective going over the different conditions and how DLMMing have evolved over that time would be awesome entertainment learning material. So thank you, Zin, for inspiring this. So this is a post I wrote on my old account. Used to be called Chives when I was undoxed. But anyways, this is a whole thing that I documented. So to give you some context, I actually was introduced to DLMMs through Hackerman Ace. Dang, I don't even follow him on this account. Anyways, he introduced me. He was live streaming at the beginning. He was explaining what DLMMs are, kind of advertising an airdrop. He was like, use this, it's powerful. They're going to reward you with an airdrop. I was like, bet, I'm going to spend as much time I can in the streams, whatever. And then Razzer, who actually changed his channel, was the second fellow that I found that really inspired this, because I was using Meteora, but I was going two-sided. I was depositing tokens on the upside. I didn't really understand how to manage risk at all. I didn't really understand how to be consistent. I found him. Ace actually showed him on stream one time. He's like, oh, look at this guy. He's doing a 1 to 100 Solana challenge. And I was like, wait, that's sick. 1 to 100 Solana. I was like, that's really impressive if you can be consistent. Sure enough, back in the day, he uploaded a ton of these. I watched every single one of these episodes from episode 1. This is really where I learned initially. Basically, what he was showing is to go one-sided. Bid side. If you guys are unfamiliar with that, that's literally what I preach in like 99% of the videos, just going one-sided, bid side, Meteor liquidity pools. Anyways, it's still possible to lose. Obviously, it wasn't a straight-up journey. But anyways, back when I started, August 1st, let's go all the way back. Let's rewind. August 2024 to October 2020. August 2024 to October 24. As I said, this was a golden time for DLMMing. The meme selection was so obvious that it was really difficult to lose, because you would go on Deck Screener. Basically, my daily routine was open Deck Screener, look at the homepage, open each chart, and there's probably 3 tokens that even looked remotely playable. And back in the day, actually, Meteora, a lot of the bins were like 100 bin pools, and you couldn't go wider than 50%. So this was actually like this was me not being experienced, but I was going minus 50% on a lot of these positions. But back in that day, it was easier. These things wouldn't really like rug to absolute zero. Some of the notable coins, right? Pools printed great. The fee generation back then was so high, and there were a lot less quick rugs. Obviously, pools would die out, but it wouldn't be so abrupt. Correct. So some of these, if you're OG, you might know some of these, but there was BB, Work, Grok 2, Vibes, BTW. If you guys remember any of these, the charts probably aren't going to mean too much to you nowadays, because they're probably all at 0. This is actually the right token. See, this thing's still at 142. But I was playing it all the way back here, right? September. Just a very easy range. It was out. We're going to go back to market cap actually. So these things would usually hover around 1 or 2 mil. Would it drop to 200k? So this was a good pool to be in. BTW, if you guys remember that one. Again, same kind of story. These things were just way easier to play, and the fee generation was so high. So, BTW. This thing was really strong. I was actually, when I was doing it, I was LPing it back in this range. Over here. And I was just cashing out back into Sol. For some reason, these charts look kind of similar to how they were today, but I promise you, the fee generation was just like higher. It was just easier to play. Anyways, moving on. The strategies here are basically just sit in a pool for 2 to 5 days, maybe some quick plays as well. First, fun time period for sure. I had really good growth at the beginning, got to 10 to 20 Sol in the first few months. So I started with 1.5 on August 1st, and then I think at the end of August I was probably at like 4 or 5. And maybe at the end of September I was even at 10. And then probably October was when I was at 20 Sol portfolio. So I really like this era because it was so obvious. Everyone in the group chat was kind of playing the same stuff, and it was just, it felt like easy mode. I didn't really take too many big losses, maybe 2 or 3 losses that set me back, but as far as that, really wasn't too bad. I was just growing the portfolio pretty consistently. October 2024, if you guys remember, is when things really got crazy. This is the era of the AI agents and Mudang. So the zoo animals coupled with Trump being it was during the election, so Bitcoin was running and breaking past 74k or like the 70k area, if you remember that. Solana was pumping, everything was great, memes were strong, things were running to hundreds of millions of dollars of market caps. And the fee generation in this period was like crazy good. Like you would go into pools, and I'm telling you, you could print 100% in 20 or 30 minutes, depending how tight you go, obviously. So let's see what I had to say about this period. Yeah, so October to November, we started seeing some crazy runners alike to the spring of 2024. Mudang really kickstarted the strength of memes. I was actually LPing Mudang at like, I don't know, back it was like 2 mil, 5 mil. I remember selling fees at like 10 mil. I'm pretty, like, what did it run to, like hundreds of millions? Maybe, I don't remember if it hit a bill, but it was really close. Yeah, Sol was pushing higher here. Once Truth Terminal came out, it was GG on all of the plays coming out. Like literally Peanut, Fartcoin, Eliza, all of that stuff was like crazy prints. I mean, absolutely crazy prints on some of these AI and runner names. I made bank holding fees from early runners like Peanut. I made like $700 holding some early Peanut fees. Mudang. Those were like some big ones I had back in that day. During these months, my strategies actually shifted heavily towards quicker buys trades. Crazy AI names dropped, and there were some cabal or dude that was creating 250 bin 5% pools all the time. True. All of the pools back then, a lot of them were 250 bin 5%, and I used to love that. Those pools used to just go crazy for me. I absolutely love them. I know you can technically get the same range on anything with enough positions. This is pre-update when they push this update, but I think the volatility, volume in some of these 250 bin pools really allowed for some crazy fee generation. This is correct because there was such volatility that a 100 bin 1% pool would not have printed the same as the 255% pool. Anyways, maybe something to do with higher ARB of the 250s. Even back then, I was onto something that is correct. I digress. But anyways, very steady growth from me during this period as well, even though I was starting to take more losses. I was very good at controlling the size of my losses for the most part, but I did suffer from some outsized losses where my discipline failed. That is true. I'm trying to remember some of them, but obviously some of the AI names that were just printing crazy good, I just stayed in them too long. Took some like 4 or 5 Sol losses, which to me at the time was a very big loss. Whenever I took a bigger loss, it really wasn't about the money. Correct, because I'm doing this with a pretty small account. Thank you, Theus. I'm doing this with a really small account. Like 1 Sol to me at the time still wasn't that much money in terms of like overall net worth. So whenever I took a bigger loss, it wasn't about the money. The size I'm playing with isn't crazy, but it was the thought of the time that I had lost earning the progress. This used to really anger me. Whenever I'd take a big loss, obviously I didn't care about like losing whatever money, but the way I trade through these Meteor pools is it's a lot more about a slower growth. So you know, you might spend a week, I might have been up 5 Sol and then 1 loss -4, and it's like, well, how many hours of my time is now gone, right? I didn't really have a trouble staying consistently profitable, but the time that I was investing would get wiped whenever I'd take a big loss. So that really sucked. I think this principle can be applied to any size you are trading, so I'm grateful I was able to prove it to myself. Anyways, too many tickers to list, but the main ones: Mudang, Peanut, Fartcoin, Truth, Zerebro. Honestly, too many to name. Correct. There were so many runners, so many plays that we were cooking on back then. I'm trying to think of maybe what January 2025. So at this time, towards the end of 2024, I was probably at maybe a 50 soul portfolio, maybe 40, 50, something around there. But I really like, this was my favorite time period because it was really easy. You'd wake up, you'd kind of know what was popping off. The thing that you would be doing is tracking new tokens coming out to find high volume. If you saw something getting like $3 million in volume in like 10 minutes, then you're like, all right, obviously I'm going to play this. The fee generation, the risk reward was too good not to play. And I've always focused on risk management, as you guys know. So January 2025 to February 2025. Early January wasn't too significant. I did start to experience and search for advantage pools. I'll explain what advantage pools are later. I'd found a few pools around this time that printed uncannily. For whatever reason, however the default AMM was set up, you would occasionally come across pools that had the ability to print 100% plus value in 10 minutes to an hour. So I haven't come across too many of these recently, but back in the day, there were certain coins you'd find for whatever rhyme or reason. However the AMM was set up, these pools would literally go crazy. Like before I left, I don't know if I talked about the ski trip and the Trump coin. Definitely talked about the Trump coin. But before I left for the ski trip, I remember putting in like 3 soul in this one pool. It was like a Zerebro derivative, and within 10 minutes I had made I think like 5 soul or 6 soul or something absolutely crazy. And I was like, okay, well, advantage pools that are for some reason set up differently, just print crazy amounts of money because they're routing so much order flow through the DMM. I haven't found one of these in a very long time. I'm trying to remember of the last one. You guys, it wouldn't mean anything to you, but it's been a few months since I found something so high. I never found too much rhyme or reason to how to find them. It was more about just finding a gold nugget occasionally. Correct. There was never really any filters you could plug in to find these. This did make me realize the possibility was out there though, and I was better at recognizing and sizing up when I would find one. I'm still on the lookout today. Correct. I'm still on the lookout today. They're very rare today. Regardless, all of this led up to the Trump launch. Was at port all-time highs. Sol was high 200s, and I was feeling pretty euphoric. Correct. I went on my first ski trip out west. I was with my friends. I was printing money on my phone. My portfolio was up. Solana was like 240 or something. Crazy time period. And I think I stole the. Okay, so I'm gonna tell this story. I was on a ski lift in Colorado trading the biggest size on the wallet that I ever had. I think, okay, I'm gonna digress real quick and give an example. So this is kind of a funny story. So the Trump coin, basically I went out west with my friends, first time going out west, and on the first day my friend got his leg sliced open by a skier on the very first run, and that thing was like really deep. He had to go to the ER, he had to get surgery. While I was in the ER, like waiting for him, whatever, I saw Trump coin dropped, and I was like, oh, this thing's getting a ton of volume. So I started LPing it. I was like, whoa, this thing is like printing like really hard. I think I made like $400 in fees, and I ended up selling $200 of 200 tokens. I ended up selling 200 Trump tokens at $2, and I put my phone away, and I was just trying to enjoy the trip. When I got home, the Trump token, the news had come out that it was official. It was actually launched by Trump, which I didn't know. I found the token really early. I didn't know it was official, which was a big fumble because it ran to like $30 that night, and then it ran to like, I don't even know. It ended up running to like high 70s or something like that. Anyways, I go to bed. We're going to ski the next day again, even though my friend is injured. I go to bed. I wake up the next day. My friend is texting me. He's like, bro, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I've been up all night LPing Trump. I'm up like 8K. I'm like, bro, are you serious right now? I was like, did I really fumble that? He's like, yes, bro. Go in right now. He said, throw as much money as you can into one bin. So basically, I was like, all right, like he's my best friend in this space. So I was like, I trust him. He was showing me all of his P&L. So I was like, whatever. I throw in 10 Sol to start. The feed generation is insane. I woke up at like 8 a.m. I was doing this at 8 a.m. The feed generation was insane. I was just like literally maybe averaging like $400 an hour at this point. And then I was like, okay, I'm putting in more size. I went 20 Sol, still printing. I got up to like 30 Sol, and I'm at this point up like I don't know, like $2,000 within like 2 hours. So I was averaging like 1K an hour at this point. Then I went even higher size. I threw in like 40 Sol, and at one point in the day, I'm up 4K on this Trump token, and I'm doing it on the ski lift. And then I'm on the ski lift, and I see it drop out of my range, and I was like, that's not good. So I'm basically like half ported, like half of my portfolio is in this, or something crazy, like way too much. Anyways, I was up 4K, and I ended up taking a 5K loss. So all of that money that I just made in the past 4 hours, the highest feed generation I'd ever seen in my life, I ended up taking a 1K loss that day. So that was the Trump story. I think I printed about 4K in 3 hours, and long story short, lost about 5K in 5 minutes when Trump first started dumping, correct. I took the loss, moved on, took it in stride, continued with my quick 1 to 4 hour play strategy. Libra happened. I kind of skipped some time period here, but basically I was doing the same thing, going a little bit smaller size. After that loss, I just kind of reset. And started going smaller position sizing. Libra happened. If you guys remember what Libra was, basically Libra was the thing that ended it all in the trenches for a good bit of time, because Hayden Davis, I'm not going to go into it, but basically he was launching these tokens. He launched it with the Prime Minister of Argentina, sniped his own token, and then rubbed it super hard. I actually made, like I said, 3 to 4 Sol on this. So at the time, that was like $800 or something, which was really nice. After that, after Libra happened, straight fear in the market, like fear everywhere in the market. The plays started disappearing. My usual plays stopped working. Things were dumping. Stuff was not coming out. And this is where the post-Libra mid phase comes out. So this is February 2025 to April 2025. We all know Libra sucked the life out of on-chain volume, and I honestly took a break for a week or two. True. I came back. My friends were still LPing, so I was still looking every day. I literally could not catch a break during this period. Correct. I was trading. I was making a little bit of money, losing some, making some, losing some. I bounced around for the longest period at this point. This was the longest period I was flat or unprofitable. I felt so bad at trading at this point. I would lose, win for so long. Correct. I was basically flat these months, or maybe even a few sold down. Correct. Future was not looking bright for the challenge. Correct. May 2025 to July 2025, I classify as the market healing. Market started ramping up during this time, but I started to find out I was struggling more and more with my usual in and out strategy. During the first few months, I was still at 90% quick plays, 10% long-term plays. I classify a long-term play as 3 days or more. As we got closer to midsummer, I started shifting more and more towards long-term plays, all the way to about 90% long-term plays and 10% short-term now. This is accurate. This is kind of where we're at right now. My strategy completely flip-flopped. Instead of chasing feed generation, which is really what I was doing, I was chasing a lot of volume. I was looking to generate a ton of fees and then get out. I instead, thank you for the gift, Andre. Oh my gosh. Instead of, gosh, you just made me lose my train of thought. Instead of chasing the feed generation, getting in, getting out really quickly, I was instead trying to choose good memes. That I thought had survival power, like back in the day, Italian Rot. That's the first one that comes to mind. I have some ones listed right here. And then I would try to stay in them for weeks plus. With that said, I found a few advantage pools. Correct. I found pools like Dizzy, Fish Wheel during this time that like I probably cooked like 10 or 20 Sol on these tokens that I was just taking advantage of the routing mechanism. So basically, Dizzy is at 0, but I do want to go over this because sometimes, not that we're going to find anytime soon, but you have to be, it's a good history lesson. So this was its own launchpad, right? You see how it says Solana through Vertigo? Not Pump Swap, not Radium, not Meteora. For some reason, it's Vertigo. So Vertigo was unique because they had their own liquidity pool, which meant if you wanted to use their liquidity pool and not get taxed, you would have to go to their actual webpage, Vertigo, and use the liquidity pool on their site. If you used Jupiter or something to swap through their token, it would route you through Meteor 100% of the time. So being in this pool, I was able to get all of the order flow that came through Jupiter or other routers, like maybe Axum was doing the same thing. Absolutely crazy. this is how, like, even though I started my range up here, as you can see, at this point I was up like 3k or something. Like, it was just crazy, and I actually ended up taking like a 5 or 6 soul loss on this total. Or not total, but like at the very end when this happened, I took a loss. But it was okay because I'd already like cooked like 20 or something soul on it, so I was like, maybe even more. Maybe it's like 30 or 40. If you go to the pool, it's like crazy how many fees I got from this pool. But this was an advantage pool where not a good meme, not a good narrative, but I just found kind of a kink in the armor or a glitch in the system that allowed me to print so much. Anyways, going back to finishing off the advantage pools, yes. So we talked about that. Have been absolute diamonds. They were absolute diamonds. Even though I played them less, I've had a good amount of gains come from these. Some recent memes that have paid when at the time I was rotating was Boat Kid, Poop Coin, Lore, Useful, Salami, and some others. All of these tokens were like really strong back in the day. They were easy to multi-day pool. I'm saying I will stick to the strategy for the foreseeable future, but I predict that I will start playing short-term plays once again once we see the market ignite even more. Correct. And my best friend, Yield Phantom DeFi Money Sniper, he's always active in my Telegram if you guys know him or if you don't. But basically, he is always like on some shit. Like, he's always opening stuff like every hour or whatever of the day. So he has a little bit of a different style than me, but he is doing quick stuff, and he's doing very well. And yeah, that's where we are now. I guess, what did we go up to? July 2025. So going into October, I think October is where I'm going to cut off the next phase. So July to October, I was doing the same thing. I was playing memes that I believed in, still working out. July is when I hit 100 Solana, just so we're clear. I got to 100 Solana in July, and then I think in October I maybe was at 130-ish. So during that time I was doing the same strategy. October, if you guys remember 10-10 or 10-11, the tariff announcement, whatever, like, we nuked like so hard, and that kind of cooked my portfolio a little bit. But I hit a good trade on Lion back in the day, which kind of saved me. I was up like 12 soul on this one. And this is where I wasn't really chasing fee generation. This little period where I was LPing it, here, this little period, not very good fee generation. But I believed in the meme because I was seeing it everywhere on social media. So as soon as I saw this first spike, I was like, I kind of knew to myself, I was like, all right, we might cook here. I actually held the tokens. I actually sold like half of my tokens here. And then I checked it one day, and it was like literally all the way up here. And I started getting clippy up here, and then that was like a play that kind of saved my portfolio after that whole thing happened. November, I was doing the same thing, same strategy, cooking, and then I got up to, at the end of November, I actually got up to a 160 Solana high. That was the highest my portfolio had ever been, or that's the highest the wallet had ever been. December, I was getting ready for Solana Breakpoint and the Meteor event, which I went to in Abu Dhabi. And I was like more focused on content creation. I wasn't obeying some of my discipline. There were some longer term memes that I believed in that my strategy kind of punished me on, even though I cooked on FA. This is another token I made like 12 or 13 soul on. I actually started LPing it after here, and during this time in December, I guess going into December, is when I started really getting kind of cooked on some of these plays, and I actually went down to a wallet balance of 135. 135 was the lowest. I got rugged like 8 soul on some other play, and after Christmas, I kind of took like a break during all of that. But then after Christmas, I was like, all right, it's time to clean up. I got some bounces on some of these coins. As you can see, I got out of FA up here, which I was in for way too long. And now I'm way more liquid in the way I trade. I'm quicker to cut losses. I'm not letting the losses get ugly, which is why we are now at a 173 soul balance in this wallet. So that's where we're at now. In terms of my strategy, what I'm doing now, I still like the long-term meme play. Like on Raw, actually, I hit a decent one, and then City Boy has been like cooking for me, even though it's kind of down bad right now. But yes, like this is one where the feed generation was bad, but this thing ended up just running super hard, so I was up like 3 Sol on this. I got $30 in fees in Solana on this, and when I checked I had $200 of raw. So you can see how that play ended up working out. City Boy has been a printer. No, I got so excited. I saw 108 in 1 hour, but this is not the right one. Alright, we're not doing bad. This is a play where very popular meme, good amount of volume each day. I was actually in this pretty heavily, and I took a 4.5 Sol. I had 2 different positions. I had 2 different LPs on this. So I had basically identical positions. I think 6 or 8 Sol in each one. And then I ended up just getting out of my one position up here. I probably should have gotten out of the second one, but regardless, I was able to secure some profit. I'm actually technically still in profit on my other pool. You can see over here. You can see I'm barely in range, but anyways, that's where we're at right now. Hopefully we get a bounce on City Boy and we can go hard. I haven't been too active the past few days, but like the memes are definitely heating up. Oh gosh, what do you think about Penguin? I'm actually bidding Penguin. Alright. I think that's gonna be it. Hopefully I went over I don't know, maybe that was super like all over the place, but hopefully you guys took some value from that. And if you have any questions about any of the past or any of the future, feel free to ask me. Check out the rest of my videos, and I will see you guys next time. Alright, now I'm ending the other stream, and we will continue on TikTok for like 2 minutes.